early. Year of birth, 1822. And can read. Yes, he can read. Yes, he could write.
Take notice of where this particular census enumeration was listing these people.
Wait a minute. Central State Hospital. I think we have a Central State in Petersburg. Isn't that a mental hospital?
It is.
It is a mental hospital.
Yeah.
That's what I thought. He was a patient at the hospital.
He was.
In the mental hospital, in the
Correct.
mental ward. Wow.
Golden Globe-nominated actor, director, and producer Blair Underwood first became a household name for his portrayal of charismatic attorney Jonathan Rollins on the celebrated NBC drama L.A. Law. Throughout his 25-year career, Blair has highlighted important African-American issues through his work with charitable organizations and by the roles he chooses. He is a 5-time winner of the coveted NAACP Image Award. Blair lives in Los Angeles with his wife, Desiree DaCosta, and their 3 children, Paris, Brielle, and Blake.
Family to me means everything. I think the only way I've been able to navigate through Hollywood is because there were roots placed and there was a foundation laid from the very beginning of my life. I attribute that to my parents. My father's a retired Army colonel, 27 years in the United States military. He was an Army officer in the 1960s, which was a rarity at that time. And so he was a leader, he was a trailblazer, but that came from my grandfather, Ernest Underwood Sr., who was the second African-American police officer in Steubenville, Ohio. I would, in the broad strokes and generalized sense, would love to take my father back to Africa. In a more specific sense, I'd love to find out exactly where the Underwood lineage came from. But there's much more information I have about that side of the family that I just don't have on my mother's side. I'd love to learn more about my mother's mother, my maternal grandmother, Bessie Royal. I don't know much about her, and I adored her. She passed away when I was 16, and so I'd love to know more about that line. It's invaluable to have that information and to be able to pass that along. So I'm starting this journey at my parents' house in Petersburg, Virginia. My brother Frank Jr. has been working on the Underwood family tree for years. But before we dig into that side of the family, I'm hoping my mother can give me more details about my grandmother Bessie, and maybe even Bessie's mother. Mom, here's one thing I never knew much about. Your mother's mother, Ada White.
Well, she passed when your grandmother was 8 years old, and that's a picture.
That's why I love this picture. This is the only picture we have of Grandma, Bessie Royal, your mother, and her mother, Ada White. Who were her parents? Who's her family? And even her husband, Harry Royal.
I know he grew up in Lynchburg, Virginia.
What do you know about his parents?
I don't know very much about them, and that I'd like to know.
So Frank, I know you've been researching Dad's side, the Underwoods. What clues do you have for me?
Like every family runs into a brick wall somewhere along the line. It might be 300 years ago, it might be 500 years. But as African Americans, we run into a wall just about 150 years ago because we were slaves. So prior to the emancipation of slavery, there's very few records besides our own family records.
And that's where we hit the brick wall. But the great thing about science and technology today is that we can break through that brick wall. I mean, DNA testing where they give you a swab and you swab the side of your mouth and you can, through your DNA, at least know where your people originated down the paternal line, the Underwood side. So to kind of shatter this brick wall, I will mail this out and see where it takes us.
Yeah. Well, that's exciting.
While I'm waiting for the results of my DNA test for the Underwood side of the family, I'm going to see what I can find about my mother's grandparents, Harry Royal and Ada Bell White. I know the Royals lived in Lynchburg, and those records are kept in the state capitol in Richmond, 25 miles north of my parents' house. I'm starting my search at the Library of Virginia, where I'm meeting with Joseph Shumway, a genealogist who has already been digging through records looking for the Royals.
Hello, Blair.
Joseph?
Joseph.
How you doing, man?
Nice to meet you. Welcome to the Library of Virginia.
Thank you.
Follow me. So, we're going to start with this. This is the marriage record for Harry Royal and Ada White, taken from the City of Lynchburg marriage registers.
Oh, man. Let's see. Harry Royal.
Yeah.
Ada Bell White. Name of their parents, Ben and Fanny Royal, and the wife, Thomas and Mary White. Wow, never knew that, okay.
I actually have another document here. This is actually the marriage record for Harry's parents, Benjamin and Fanny.
So let's see, husband, Ben Royal, wife, Fanny Early. Fanny Early. So my great-grandmother, Ada Bell White's parents are Thomas and Mary White. And my great-grandfather, Harry Royal's parents, are Benjamin Royal and Fanny Early. Then Joseph shows me Fanny's marriage record, which tells me her parents are Maria and Sonny Early.
So with this information, I've done some looking around, found some interesting things on the Early family in particular that I want to have a look at with you. I've actually looked at Sonny Early in a few of the United States federal census records. This is the census for 1900.
Let's see, Early. Oh, it's spelled differently. S-A-U-N-E-Y.
Yeah, there you go.
Sonny Early. Looks like
Right.
a C. Okay, Sonny Early. Year of birth, 1822. And can read. Yes, he can read. Yes, he could write.
Take notice of where this particular census enumeration was listing these people.
Wait a minute. Central State Hospital. How do we have a Central State in Petersburg? Isn't that a mental hospital?
It is.
It is a mental hospital.
Yeah.
That's what I thought. He was a patient at the hospital.
He was.
In the mental hospital. In the
Correct.
mental ward. Wow.
Blair Underwood is in Richmond, Virginia, on a journey into his mother's family history. He's just learned that his 3 times great-grandfather, Sonny Early, was in a mental institution in 1900 at the age of 78.
The Central State Hospital was actually an all-black institution. It was the first one established just a few years after the Civil War.
Wow. Wow. Do we know why he was there? Or do we...
This census document doesn't give us any particular indication.
This is fascinating. So he's in the mental hospital in 1900, but what about the census before that? That might give me an idea of when he was committed.
Now, the censuses were enumerated every 10 years. 1890, actually, the census was burned in a fire. So we have to jump to 1880 to get our next snapshot.
Sonny Early, black, male, 56 years old, which coincides 20 years earlier, laborer, farmer. So he wasn't in the institution in 1880.
We're going to step back 10 more years now.
Oh, good.
To 1870.
Okay, so 10 years earlier, Sonny Early. He's age 45, 43.
45.
45. He was a blacksmith, so he was a blacksmith then.
Blacksmith at that time, it was a specialized trade. He's not just working as a farm laborer like we see him in 1880. The next logical step would be to search in the 1860 U.S. federal census for a person. However, the 1860 census, because it was enumerated during the time of slavery, only enumerated free blacks in the general population schedule.
Okay.
And I've actually already had a look at the 1860 census, have not been able to find Sonny Early, which seems to suggest that he was a slave at that time.
Yeah, it wasn't free, yeah.
Right.
Okay.
Prior to emancipation, slaves were not listed by name in any census, only by number on a slave schedule as property of their owner, creating what is often referred to as the wall in the African American community, a historical void of information about their ancestors purely by omission. The only identifying characteristics in the slave schedule for someone like Sonny Early would have been sex, age, color, mental capacity, and literacy.
So it seems Sonny probably was a slave. And like many African-American families, I've hit the wall. You know, it's fun, of course, you embark upon a path like this and you know the history of slavery and ownership and chattel slavery and all of that, but it always just chafes me. Well, it's clear that my 3 times great-grandfather, Sonny, was in a significant decline over a 30-year period. In 1870, he was a highly valued blacksmith. But just 10 years later, in 1880, he was a farm worker. And then, by 1900, Sonny was institutionalized. So what happened between 1880 and 1900 that landed him in a mental hospital? I'm on my way to visit historian Dan Fountain at the Jones Memorial Library in Lynchburg. He's been searching local records for me, looking for more information about Sonny's life during the late 1800s.
There's a lot of things that we can find out about Sawney that are here in newspapers, and it'll take a little bit of time, and we're going to find some. We found a good bit about your great-great-great-grandfather.
Nice.
Let's take a little look at the reel here. Slide this on. All right, so we're looking for January 12th.
January 12th, what year are we talking about?
1876.
76. So it's 11 years after the Civil War. He's a free man.
He is a free man at this point. And
Sawney early.
Okay.
I see something here. Sawney early in limbo. It'll be remembered that this pestiferous darky. Dan, pestiferous darky?
they're not speaking kindly.
That's right.
At all.
All right. It will be remembered that this pestiferous darky, who claims to be the second Jesus, some time ago stole, skinned, and salted down a valuable cow belonging to Mr. R.M. Chambers. That gentleman, upon attempting to interview Sawney in relation to the matter, found that the latter had declared war, unfurled his red banner, and loaded his blunderbuss
It's a form of weapon.
for the protection of the beef, the cow. The interview culminated in Sawney's attempting to shoot Mr. Chambers and in having a load of shot lodged in his own face. Wow, Sawney! But to the disgust of the general public, he recovered and boldly proclaimed that he would in future steal as many cows as he chose, for experience had taught him that no man could kill him. He was committed to jail at liberty for safekeeping until the next term of the court, when he would be tried for stealing the cow and also for a murderous assault upon Mr. Chambers. Murderous assault.
Yes. But there are other instances we need to take a peek at.
Okay.
This is the Lynchburg Daily Virginian.
An eccentric character comes to grief, shot for cow stealing. On our streets is occasionally seen an eccentric character wearing badges and Kabbalistic signs on his hat and coat, and giving utterance to various incoherent prophecies and predictions. This is Sawney Early, a Negro religious enthusiast or lunatic who professes to believe himself the second Jesus. Wow. So this is being 1875, right? So he was already self-professed Messiah, and then he gets shot in the jaw. Well, he was quite the character, wasn't he? Sawney Early.
He certainly was noticed by this community. Here we have Sawney's making bigger news.
He's making bigger news. You're making me nervous here, Dan.
Sorry.
Blair Underwood is in Lynchburg, Virginia at the Jones Memorial Library, trying to find out why his 3 times great-grandfather went from a highly skilled blacksmith to a mental institution 30 years later. Historian Dan Fountain has already shared the details of one incident between Sawney and his neighbors, but there's more.
The New York Times. Okay, this is Wednesday, January 23rd, 1884. Murders in the South of Lynchburg, Virginia. Charles Tardy, a farmer residing near here, yesterday shot and killed a Negro named Sawney Early, an ex-convict. Early was cutting Tardy's timber, and when ordered to quit, attempted to brain Tardy with an axe, whereupon the latter, after due warning, drew a pistol and shot Early 3 times.
Okay.
They didn't kill him.
He's not dead. He's alive in 1900, so that's not accurate.
Right. Sawney got shot in the face 10, 11 years prior to this. Now he's getting
Correct.
shot 3 times.
3 times.
We believe.
In this case, another squabble with someone local over, in this case, timber rather than a cow. From that same incident in 1884, we want to take a look at Campbell County shooting case.
Okay. Sawney Early, shot by Charles Tardy on Monday in Campbell County, is still living, with prospects of recovery. Mr. Tardy was examined by a magistrate and discharged, it being a clear case of self-defense. The colored people, as it is said, are dissatisfied with his release and are making threats of violence.
Gives us a very clear indication that he's not isolated. He's not
Right.
off on the beaten path by himself. And something that will help us put all of this in context is to look at the geography behind all of these events that will help tie them all together.
Oh, okay. We can do that?
We can do that.
This has been quite the revelation, just reading these news accounts, because he's a more complicated, complex individual than I initially thought.
I see an image of Sawney emerging very much along the lines of a conjurer.
A what?
A conjurer. When you look at them, they are strikingly eclectic and eccentric in their appearance. Many conjurers wore things such as unusual clothing, fashioning crowns with shiny materials often on their heads.
So the article talked about the hat and the
Kabbalistic
coat.
signs.
Right.
And so the imagery of Sawney fits that perfectly.
Conjurers came from West African tradition and served a vital purpose in most slave communities. They negotiated the boundary between spirits and humans, offering their followers healing powers and protection from an overseer or slave master. Conjurers were seen as leaders in the African American community, and because of this power, the white population viewed conjurers as a threat.
Dan and I are visiting the site where Sawney lived and where his conflicts with R.M. Chambers and Charles Tardy took place.
This would have been where Sawney lived.
Really?
And if you'll take a look at this map, this is where their conflicts take place. You may notice and recognize the first name to the left, Chambers.
Yeah.
We know from the records that Chambers and Armistead are new arrivals to the area. They come in after the Civil War and have purchased this land and take up residence here. Mr. Armistead had asked Hardy to intervene and stop Sawney from cutting the lumber.
Right.
These are newcomers.
Right.
Now, this is a copy of the Bedford County deposition that describes the cow incident with Chambers.
In the county of Bedford, S.A. Early did state to him that he had shot one of R.M. Chamber cattle, crippling the same, and that he, S.A. Early, would shoot R.M. Chambers' cattle again if he did not keep them out of his corn.
According to this account from a white man, Mr. Moran, who was the landlord in which Sawney lived, he's telling us the cow has come into Sawney's corn. Well, that's his sustenance. That's his food. If the cow kills his corn, he's killing his family. And so the story of the cow takes on a very different tone.
Right,
If you don't have corn, your kids don't eat.
You don't eat. So he has a justifiable reason to be indignant.
Absolutely.
Coupled with the fact that he was a conjurer
Absolutely.
who believed you couldn't touch him anyway. And he was above it all.
And he had some evidence to the fact that
Right,
he
he'd
could
been
survive
shot
anything that
4 times
they
at
throw
least,
at
you
him. Indeed.
Once in the face and 3 other times we don't know where.
That's right.
He's a strong man.
A very strong man.
My mind is swimming. I mean, I think of the type of character that he must have been. I think of the internal strength and fortitude. I think of that maverick of sorts that thinks outside the box and lives, by his own credo. Sawney is, from what I see, is a man who could not be broken. I'll never know for sure why Sawney ended up in a mental hospital, but he was shot 4 times defending his rights and was clearly never going to give up. So, for his white neighbors, maybe the easiest way to get rid of him was to commit him to a mental hospital. I see my 3 times great-grandfather, someone who was connected to the spirit world and was a leader amongst people and was well known in the community, who was a colorful character, as actors are known to be. I find great solace in that. So I'm very, very proud to know that I have a great-great-great-grandfather named Sawney Early, who many thought was crazy and was obviously much more than they could have ever imagined. Now that I know the dramatic story of Sawney Early, I'm shifting my focus to another branch of my mom's family tree. Since I found Sawney through my maternal great-grandfather, Harry Royal, I'd like to learn as much as I can about Harry's wife, Ada Bell White. From her marriage record, I know Ada's parents were Thomas and Mary White. I'm heading back to Lynchburg to reconnect with Joseph Shumway. I'm curious to see what clues he's been able to find out about this side of my family tree.
Blair Underwood is in Virginia, researching another branch of his mother's lineage.
I'm back in Lynchburg with Joseph Shumway, who has been researching the White family for me. I understand you have information about Ada White, who's married to Harry Royal.
I was able to locate a death certificate for her mother, Mary White. She died here in Lynchburg in 1917.
County of Campbell, Lynchburg, born in 1862. Father was Delaware Scott. That's new information, I believe.
So what I'd like to do now that we have this name is see if we can identify Delaware Scott and his family in the U.S. federal censuses. So we're here at Ancestry.com. In the location, let's type in Campbell County, Virginia.
Let's see, hold on a second, let me see.
Yeah.
Easier.
I like to always check the 1860 census just in case we do get lucky and find an African-American ancestor in that census.
Click on here.
Uh-huh.
Are we gonna hit that wall again?
We might hit the wall again.
Delaware, okay, Delaware Scott. If you go beyond 1870, unless you were a freed slave, you couldn't be found in an 1860 census, right?
Right.
So he's gotta be free.
Right.
That's pretty incredible. So how did you become free? 35, male, okay, so a mulatto here.
Right.
Cooper? No, okay.
Cooper, right.
What is a Cooper?
Cooper was a barrel maker. There was a lot of need for things to carry material in, so.
Now, tobacco was big around here, right? I mean, anything.
It was.
Value of real estate. So wait a minute, so he's 800. Oh, his real estate.
He owns real estate.
He owns real estate, so he was a property owner in
Right.
1860.
Right.
So these are all Scotts.
Right.
Julia A. Scott, William Scott. He's 35.
And this Judith woman, she's 67. Her last name's Scott.
Judith, so it's probably Delaware's mother.
Possibly.
Possibly. I am loving this ride. Okay. It's really incredible to learn that my 3 times great-grandfather, Delaware Scott, was a free black man before the end of slavery and was a landowner to boot. Now I'm very curious. How did Delaware Scott and his mother Judith, who was also listed in the 1860 census, become free? To get some of my questions answered, Joseph suggested I head back to Richmond and meet with historian Dr. Eva Shepard-Wolf.
This is a register of free Negroes. And in it are names of people who came to the county clerk to register and prove their status as free Negroes, and that was the terminology of the time.
Right.
So it's more than what you would get in a census,
Sure.
for example, because there are some personal details.
Right.
So we're in
A little
1849.
more years. Delaware Scott, son of Judith Scott, dark mulatto, 26 years old, 5 feet 11 inches high, which is my height, born free. He was born free.
Yeah.
How is that possible?
Well, so we know he was born free in the 1820s, which means his mother had to be free.
Is that a foregone conclusion?
That's a foregone conclusion,
Okay.
because your status comes from your mother.
Ah, that's very cool.
Yeah.
So he was born free in
He was
18...
born free in 1823.
Okay.
And there were thousands of free blacks in Virginia in 1820.
Thousands?
Thousands.
Because you often hear about freed blacks during that period of time.
Right. In 1782, they passed a law that allowed anybody in Virginia who wanted to free a slave, as long as the slave was not a child and not elderly, which meant over 45, sorry to say, and if they did it by deed, so a deed like a deed that you would draw up to transfer land or something
Right.
like that, or by will. But this doesn't tell us anything about how his ancestors became free. We just know he was born free, which in fact Delaware was kept track of another time. And this one's from 1852.
Amherst County Clerk's Office, September 5th, 1852. Delaware Scott, there he is. Born free in the county of Amherst, of ancestors free before the first day of May 1806, so 50 years prior to
Yes.
this.
So Delaware Scott's ancestors, your ancestors, free before 1806.
That's extraordinary.
First May 1806 refers to a specific law. It's actually very important that if you were freed after May 1st, 1806, you had to leave Virginia within 1 year. If they don't, they can be taken up by county officials and sold back into slavery.
What?
So the free black registers became, in addition to a way to just track people and kind of keep tabs on people, a way to make sure that people had a right to be in Virginia. These are also having to do with free Negro and slave records. You want to try to read that?
This is to certify that I was acquainted with Amy Umbles sent years or
60 years or upwards.
Or upwards. She had 2 daughters, Judd and Libby.
I think it's Tabby. I think it's a T.
Tabby.
I think that's
You're
Judy.
She married something Scott.
That's an S and that's an L, so it's an abbreviation for Samuel.
Okay, Samuel Scott. They were free persons of color. From my earliest acquaintance with them, I never heard their freedom called into question.
So Judy, Delaware Scott's mother, married Samuel Scott.
Gotcha.
So
okay.
this then is your great-great-great-great-grandfather. So now you have Delaware Scott's parents, both of them.
Right. Do we know why this was written?
This is Guy Lee, a white man of some respect in the community, a tradesman, coming to say, I know this family.
I'll vouchsafe for this family.
I'll vouch for them.
Right.
Ever since I knew them, for more than 60 years, they were free, back to the 1790s now. So
we were able to track all the way back to at least information to the late 1790s.
Right. The free people in the 1790s.
The free people in the 1790s.
1790s.
Free people in Virginia.
Yeah, 215 years ago.
That blows me away.
To have ancestors in the 18th and 19th centuries who were born free is a monumental discovery. I am so proud to be descended from this family. My 3 times great-grandfather, Delaware Scott, and his mother, Judith, both born free. And Delaware's father, Samuel, and his grandmother, Amy, who were living free in the Virginia South. It's remarkable.
So we actually do know a little bit more about the Scott family, but it's not here. We have to go back to Lynchburg.
We have to go back to Lynchburg?
Gotta go back to Lynchburg.
I can't wait.
I'm hoping to find out more about Samuel Scott and his family, my family, and I'd like to be able to connect some more of these dots. Eva and I are going to the Court Street Baptist Church, the first African-American church of its kind in Lynchburg. Eva tells me the Scott family was instrumental in building this congregation.
So if you remember, we saw that Judith, was married to a Samuel Scott.
Right.
And this is a stack of land deeds. This is all having to do with buying and selling land. It's really buying. Samuel Scott was buying land. Delaware Scott's father was buying land.
Wow.
Yeah.
You know what year we're talking about?
1815.
A free black man.
A free
who
black
owned
man
land
who owned land.
here in Virginia.
Right.
Do we know how many acres?
Around 200.
200 acres?
That's a lot.
That's a lot of land.
Yeah. And we have tax records.
Ah, okay.
So there are several columns here. And so you can see quite a few of the people have slaves that they're paying taxes on.
All right, Samuel Scott. He had 2 slaves? So Samuel had 2 slaves.
Yep, that's that
He
column.
owned
Right.
his own slave.
Blair Underwood is in Lynchburg, digging into his mother's deep Virginia family history. He just found out his 4 times great-grandfather, Samuel Scott, was free decades before emancipation, but he owned 2 slaves.
I'm curious about the relationship between the free people of color and the slaves.
Well, and I think it really varied from situation to situation and person to person. But we can actually learn more about them through the census records, because this just tells us that he had them. It doesn't tell us anything about them. Okay, this is
the 1840 census.
1840 census. So you've seen another census where it lists everybody by name. And they don't list people by name here. Just the heads of household, which kind of shows how they thought of society. It was the head of household that was important.
That mattered.
But they were interested in the demographics, you know,
Right.
what the ages of people are.
Yeah, so we have Samuel Scott here, then we have slaves. They have 1 male slave, between 55 and 100.
Yeah.
Okay.
So
What does that
there
tell
were
us?
2 slaves in 1838. There weren't actually any slaves in the tax records before that. 2 in 1839. By 1840, there's only 1 slave, and that slave is over 55. If you're going to own slaves to work your land, you're not going to purchase somebody over 55.
Okay.
That's an old slave.
That's an
right?
old slave.
That's not somebody who's going to
Okay.
help you do it. So the most, and what I know statistically, is that most free black slave owners in Virginia owned family members.
Now that is interesting. Free people of color would buy family members who were slaves in order to take care of them.
Right, in order to
Right.
have them be able to live as free people. Remember, after 1806, if a slave is freed, that slave has to leave Virginia.
After May 1st, 1806, right.
If you're freed after May 1st of 1806, then you have 1 year that you can stay in Virginia
Get your stuff and get to stepping.
and leave.
Right.
But if you're still a slave and you're
Right.
owned by your family
You
member,
can stay.
You can stay.
And ideally, it's a family member who you love, you'll take care of them.
Right.
But their status will remain as a slave.
Their status remains as a slave.
You're blowing my mind right now.
So you
but it
have-
makes sense. You take care of your own.
You take care of your own. But we know there were 2 in 1838. There were 2 in 1839. Now there's only 1.
Right.
And so we can guess that that other one might have been a similar age and might have died by this point, by 1840. So it's very possible that they were his parents.
Yep. To me, it's beautiful and profound and eye-opening because it's part of my history. Phenomenal. The fact that he took care of his family like that, because family to me has always been the most important thing in my life. So you take care of your own.
Yeah.
You look out for your own.
Yeah.
And I see that he did that. I look at now my 4 times great-grandfather, Samuel Scott, the fact that he was looking out for these people and taking care of them. It's empowering to know that. What else has been illuminating is that there are such deep roots in this state of Virginia that I had no idea about. So now it makes sense why I feel like such a Virginian.
Unfortunately, this is where the trail for the Scotts ends. And while I got nearly 100 years further back than most, I finally hit that wall. There aren't any more records that can tell me how Samuel Scott and Amy Umbles became free. But my mom is really gonna love learning all this information about her family. And on my dad's side, I just got word that the results of my DNA test are in. So I'm meeting with Dr. Kenneth Shaheen here in Lynchburg.
A good way to think of your DNA is links on a very long chain. And so what we're able to do is read approximately 700,000 links. So it gives us sort of a unique DNA fingerprint, if you will. So the first thing we found was that your DNA is comprised of approximately 74% African DNA and about 26% European DNA. Now, that may be a surprise, but as it turns out, most African Americans have a significant portion of European DNA. And your 26% actually is fairly typical. I wouldn't say it's high and I wouldn't say it's low. So
Yeah,
you're
it's
in
not
that
a surprise.
normal range, okay? So when we look at your European DNA, what we find is that you're most closely related to people that come from the region of France, Switzerland, and Germany.
Oh, that's hilarious.
Why is that?
Well, it's hilarious because I've always felt a connection to France, especially. Got engaged in Paris, named our first child after the city of Paris. African first, I've always said that. Africa first, and then French culture. I don't know why, never knew why.
That's interesting. So then we did the same thing to the African. And what we find here is that you're associated with several tribes that are predominantly found in the western part of Africa. So then we did one more thing.
Okay.
We asked, where would we find your closest DNA matches? And when we did that, what we found was a gentleman who's your cousin.
What?
We've compared your DNA to his, okay?
Right.
And clearly you shared a common relative on the paternal side, right around 1600 or 1700 and the slave trade.
So my cousin is Eric Sonjowo.
Right.
From Babungo?
Babungo, Cameroon.
Babungo, Cameroon.
We had Eric in a database, which is why we were able to compare your DNA fingerprint to his.
It's mind-boggling. It is absolutely mind-boggling.
We've made contact with him, and he is looking forward to meeting you and introducing you to his father and the rest of his family.
I'm going to Cameroon?
Absolutely.
Yes! Yes! That blows me away.
Blair Underwood is in Africa, fulfilling his lifelong dream of taking his father to their ancestral homeland. Blair and his father are on their way to meet Blair's distant cousin Eric and Eric's father in the tiny village of Babungo, where the family is awaiting the Underwoods' arrival.
Wow. Wow. Isn't that something? Looking like family for real. Wow. This is amazing. You Eric? Eric? Yeah, man. Oh, man. Man, it's good to see you. Come here, man. Come here, brother. Oh, thank you. Good to see you, buddy. Thank you so much for making this happen. This is amazing. This is amazing. Where's your father? Which one is your father? This is my father. This is my father. Family. Who is Eric? We cannot thank you enough for making all of this possible. Let me tell you why it's special for us. Because we know in America that we were separated from you as a family. And we always in America, there's a void because we were forced migration to America. Okay. And our families were separated. Do you know anything about that in terms of your ancestors when they may have left this country?
Well, I think the transatlantic slave trade that a lot of Africans to the United States and other parts of the world. It was a very inhuman trade, and it wasn't documented because nobody wanted to have his or her name kept on record. And then it is very difficult to trace where those people come from because slaves were collected from all over Cameroon.
What made you take the DNA test in the first place?
It was in 2005. Yeah, one girl came towards me and said that there is a test going on. Black people there in America are trying to trace their family back.
Oh, that's what they said to you?
Yeah, she said to me. But when they called me and they told me the thing, I was very shocked because I never expected anything from it. It's been quite a long time.
Well, today is that day.
Today is that day.
And because of you, we come full circle and we reunite with a family, with you.
Yeah.
So that is an honor, and that's very humbling to us.
Yes. We have a large family in the United States, and we've been there for quite a while, but we never had a connection to Africa.
Okay.
And you make that connection for us, and it's reality. So I cannot say how strongly I feel about that. Maybe someday you can come and visit us and the family members, and to grow as family.
We wanted to give you a picture of our family in America, which is your family. So you know what they look like. So hopefully when you come to America, or any of you, you'll meet them, or when I bring them back here. Either way. You know what I'm saying? The journey has been much more than I ever expected. I've learned so much. I always knew I was from Virginia, but I uncovered people like Sonny Early and Samuel Scott, a free man of color. These are proud, dignified people on both sides. So what I would share with my children is you come from a long line of people with these values. To actually be able to travel all these miles and to meet my cousin face to face, it's the family coming full circle. It's reuniting the family that was broken. I feel as though certain voids are filled that I never realized I had. But for me, we're African, not because we're born in Africa, but because Africa was born in us. Or who I thought I was when we started this odyssey is different than who I know I am today. It's been incredible.